Be-do, everybody. This is Alex from IGTV. Banana. Today I'm talking about minions and monsters. Yeah, I went to the cinema and saw this shit. You know what? Ask and you shall receive. I've had too many people say, yeah, the new Minions movie is fucking based. I want to know your thoughts. So I found a really cheap screening of it and went along. And if I'm being real, this is the first, how do you even describe it, Minions-related film I've seen at the cinema. Despite how many of them I have seen, I have never seen them on the big screen, let's say. But the reviews are good for this, the word of mouth is weirdly good. I kept seeing the trailer and thought, you know what? Out of all the Minions movies, this premise is slightly more interesting, I guess. Oh yes, the Chinese Minions, I fucking love that. So I'm gonna babble about this film for a bit. I guess spoilers? Like, you can't really spoil a Minions film. It's not really the point of them. So let's just start with where we're at with this whole Minions pipeline. Right, which one should I go for? The Minions movie chronology. That might be helpful. Okay, what are we looking at here? So 4 Despicable Me movies and 2 previous Minion movies. That's a hell of a lot of Minions. They're obviously the spin-off characters from the Despicable Me movies that are more popular than the main character from that franchise. They're a core dibby. Ew, I just know. Oh my god, I forgot about that. God damn it. But yeah, I've always hated these little fucks. To me, they've been a nice symbol of bottom of the barrel cynical advertising first, even down to their base design. It was all about simplicity and affordability, so they could keep production cheap. And I did see this first Minions movie. I don't remember a single thing about it. Like I did watch this. Oh yeah, there was a corgi in it. I never saw The Rise of Gru. Is that the one that people were wearing suits to go and watch? That's it, the Gentle Minions. Yes, very funny, very awesome. Very awesomely good. And yeah, the Despicable Me movies are just straight up unwatchable to me. Especially because the first one came out around the same time as Megamind, which is a far superior spin on the same kind of idea, and I think it even has a creature called Minion in it. So in general, I do hate these motherfuckers, these chicken nugget butt plug advertising agents. But fast forward to now, and we have a Minions movie with a 70 Metascore, but is about 1920s Hollywood, and is this kind of earnest love letter to filmmaking. Earnest might be a little bit strong of a word, and with all the vitriol and irony and over-the-top way I've communicated over the years, I gotta be honest with you guys, and I will be honest, depending on how I'm feeling. I actually kind of enjoyed this. I thought this was okay. This might piss people off. I genuinely think this film is better than Toy Story 5. I'm being a little bit facetious, but at the same time, I genuinely did enjoy my experience with this more than that movie. Because they're kind of in inverse positions, right? Where something like a Toy Story has a prestige to it. So then the context and intent of that, trying to maintain the prestige while also being like a cynical cash grab, like where the Minions movies began. And this movie, at least in part, for like a third of it, becomes this kind of one for me meta-narrative from the director. This dude who voices the Minions too and has been a part of it, I think all of the Despicable Me and Minions movies in some way. There is an element of self-awareness from the writer-director who seems to be communicating through this story that he kind of knows the Minions standing. They're like slop characters. So leaning into that was kind of funny. To where part of the plot of the movie is that when they stumble across Hollywood in the 20s through this completely unhinged Western train action scene, which has a really funny sight gag where like they're rocketing this train through the streets and they're bundling together each side of the train in order to adjust its weight so it doesn't crush people and kill them. And I'd forgotten how violent these guys are. They're killers. They are evil demons. And this film has a lot of violence in it. Early on, there's a decapitation. People are getting crushed and killed. There's an Odyssey reference with a Cyclops that winds up sitting on a butt plug made out of Lego, and it goes like way up in there and it shows it in like pretty intense detail, as well as kind of adult jokes where one of the Minions is called Dick, and the way he's written into the script is to be one of those, this is for the adults jokes, where it's like Christoph Waltz is like Dick when he walks past because he doesn't like him. And yeah, Christoph Waltz is in this. It has a kind of an insane cast. You got Trey Parker as Cthulhu. Alison Janney, I think, is the narrator. Yeah, George Lucas is in it. Christoph Waltz is the movie director character who gives a pretty good vocal performance. Jeff Bridges are these twins, where one is a cynic and one is really positive. Again, a pretty funny sight gag and kind of fun characters. This is all about the gags. This is an irreverent, silly comedy, and it kind of only really works if you find it funny. And I found some of these jokes actually funny, which was super surprising to me because I don't think I've laughed once at any Illumination movie ever. And I think the standout was actually Jesse Eisenberg as this Dort character that just kind of comes out of nowhere, like halfway through the movie. And then it goes full woke. Can you believe it? The Minions movie went woke. Dort like falls in love with this like feminist activist, and I'm not joking. There's like a women's rights, we deserve a vote march. That's in like 2 scenes in the movie. Pierre was getting political with this one. Damn man, go woke, go broke. Am I right? This is the first film from Illumination that I've seen that feels like, at least on some level, some recognizable level, that express some kind of affection or passion for the medium that they're making their advertisements in. I was a little bit frightened at first with like the George Lucas cameo and this an E.T. reference. Was not expecting... Oh, wrong tab. Was not expecting a Metropolis reference. It was kind of funny. And I often go on about how much I find reference humor to be kind of a one-note shortcut to comedy or writing. But I think a lot of the best visual gags and jokes were nothing really to do with the references. And it just wasn't doing a lot of those Illumination cliches that I'm just so sick of. The cringy needle drops and these pop star cameos and stuff like that. This does weirdly feel like the director's "this one's for me" type Minions movie, which is a wild thing to say. Oh, here we go. Here's the feminist march. So what's the plot of this? I guess the Minions, they go around trying to find evil leaders to be the minions of. Like the same plot of the first movie. The first Minions movie. God, there's so many of these. And after a montage, after the Cyclops gag, there's this wizard that has a book of evil villains who also winds up getting killed. The wizard, I mean. So they take the book and through one way or another wind up in Hollywood and become viral sensations in the silent movie era. And a kind of funny joke is that once sound is introduced, which was in the mid to late 1920s, the Minions have to deliver dialogue in the films that they've been making. And of course it doesn't work because they just speak gibberish. So that was kind of a funny way of spinning real film history into the narrative, even though there are like countless inaccuracies with that kind of thing. I would have loved to have seen them go even harder than that to make this truly for me, instead of just like, you know what, for this like, I think straight up this is Illumination's best movie. There's a couple I haven't seen, but this film has a lot of qualities that their other films don't. This is obviously the Charlie Chaplin reference. And the Minions' whole thing is slapstick humor for the most part. It's all physicality. And it is a manic film. It is utterly manic and cannot maintain that level of excitement outside of a few standout kind of sequences. And it does have a level of charm that a lot of their movies just don't have. Now, is this on the level of something like Wallace and Gromit, which I think is the prime kind of example of animated reverence kind of parody movies, where they just do what something like this movie's trying to do, but at a much more clever and interesting way, with a lot more reliance on an actual clever script or like wordplay, where this movie is nearly all sight gags and visual humor. Like, this goes hard. These fucking assholes have like looped back round to kind of being based. I never thought I'd see the day. If me from 10 years ago could hear and see this, I think he'd be losing his mind. Not that I'm not. Oh yeah, where was that screenshot where they're like drinking martinis? They're kind of like ballers. Yeah, there's multiple scenes where they're like drinking cocktails. I think they even go to Epstein's Island in one scene. They have this weird edge to them despite how obviously baby coded they are. There was this mother and her really young kid who was sat near me, and she was clearly stressed out because the child was like being loud and enjoying the movie. And she was giving off like oh god, I hope I'm not ruining this for you, but it's like, no, this is who it's for. Like, relax, it's fine. I would be the asshole for being upset about that. So speaking of the more kind of woke side of it, there are 2 main characters here, 2 main minions as it were, who are gay lovers that are shown sleeping in the same bed, which I thought was a cool progressive slant to the film. Very French. I remember one of them was called James. I can't remember what the other one was called. I guess in the credits, like, he's just all of them. He's every minion, so it doesn't really narrow it down. Have any of these movies gone into, like, how they appear? Do they, like, mate? Are they, like, starfish or something where they can reproduce without... Maybe that's for the next movie. We can get into the asexual reproduction of minions in a later movie, I guess. But the minion James is kind of the film director insert character. The self-insert OC for the director. And this isn't a movie that has like character arcs or anything like that. It's just pure, oh my god, is that Orson Welles? Alright, what the fuck am I even talking about at this point? So at a certain point in the movie, when it kind of started to lose me, was when these A-B plots diverge, where the Cthulhu Trey Parker character comes into the picture, who's one of the weaker designs in the movie. Actually, it's very just, yeah, we're going cute with this. We have to go cute. It's good for marketing. It's good for families. And the vocal performance is just Cartman with a lisp and a few filters over it. And so for whatever reason, the Cthulhu Trey Parker character teams up with, I think it's like 3 of the main minions and goes off like on a boat to go find some other monsters. Meanwhile, the rest of the minions how the fuck does it even happen? Like, I saw this like an hour ago. I'm really like, what is this blur of like yellow and blue shit in my brain? But they stumble across like a science fiction convention with this guy, Count Binface, which I thought was cool to put some British politics in there. But this character is actually a cool design and was animated really nicely and moved in a kind of a fun way to watch. But it did feel like, what is the point of this B-plot? It's like, oh, I'm actually an alien for real. With then the twist being that he actually is an alien for real, as the Deus Ex Machina to put all the minions in little spaceships and wrap up the monster plotline when they go back to converging. Like, the script obviously is not the fucking strong suit. I mean, the script is, what, 70% just nonsense dialogue? And as a narrative is concerned, there's like basically zero cohesion or setup or payoff outside of the Dort thing. A lot of the time it does feel kind of like a clip show or like a shorts anthology type thing. It's very loose with that. But it's also not taking itself seriously at all. Seeing as they're animated movies, a lot of the time my biggest issue with them is a character design or like I don't know, I just find them hideous to look at least historically. When the Mario movies look good, they're definitely the most polished films they've made. But this had some standout designs in it that I did like. There was some sequences with 2D animation or 2D design, which looked good. I actually really liked these designs of these twins and the director in the middle there. They're definitely getting better at that. The wizard early on was fun as well. I don't even understand why Cthulhu needed the minions to even achieve its goal, but whatever. I just feel like a fucking asshole. Deeping the plot of a Minions movie, it's just incompatible with my mind. Pacing-wise, I do think it was too long, even though the film is short. At about the hour point, it really sags and kind of drags for a while until it becomes this manic action scene with this eye goo monster, Irene. There was some really good animation with this, and the visuals with all the eyes was fun. The texture works really good. A lot of the movement and cartoon logic is fun to watch. Oh yeah, and going back to Count Binface, thought that was cool on the woke front. We had a robot alien thing having like a mixed species romance with the civil rights lady. They have like a Shrek style dragon and donkey like hybrid child situation going on. That's pretty fire. A couple of the gags that weren't just minions shoving a bunch of bananas in their mouths till they're so like stretched and vored that they can barely move. When the film ended, because the character, where is he gone? God, there's so many of these little fucks. Because when the film ended with the James character being the director within the movie, it ends saying directed by James, which I thought was a pretty funny little gag to put a bow on it. There's a pretty good self-deprecating joke about directors being egomaniacs, which I quite like. One of the things that doesn't make sense for the time period is that they're talking about like Oscars and getting an Oscar, which didn't exist in this time period yet. I don't really care about that outside of including Oscars as this perpetual idea of like the best films have Oscars, only the worthy and the best, the supreme. America approved Oscar winners are what makes a real film a film. Just on a philosophical level, I get fed up of Oscar films being the be-all, end-all standard of quality, when I think you should probably be encouraging people to tell stories to tell their story, not just to win an award for an award's sake, even though when you do win the award, it obviously opens doors for you, but you could say there's something pedantic about that. There was another good line from Binface where he's with his love interest and she's like, wow, you're so unlike any other man I've met. And he says something like, well, because I didn't suppress my feelings to avoid being vulnerable. It's like, okay, you're putting something real in a Minions movie. This is kind of funny. Like, they actually had some creativity in it, which is a lot for a Minions movie. So the question is, how much of this is just the bar being like Mariana Trench low, so they're making something that isn't the worst, just comparatively is like, whoa, they can do this? They can try? Honestly, one of the main things that convinced me to see it was that this one, out of all the Minions and like Despicable Me movies, seems to be having a more kind of tepid response. Not critically or word of mouth, but more just general audiences going to see it in the same way that they normally do. Sure, it did come out on July 4th, but the correlation with quality and fewer people wanting to see it is pretty funny. So how do I rate this? Do I recommend this? I honestly don't know. Do I think it's a good movie? Well, yeah, it's the best film of the year, as the title of this video suggested. But, I mean, it does have qualities. It's a comedy, and I laughed. It passed the Commode 5-laugh challenge. I'm honestly feeling like an extremely low 3-star. With a like. This is crazy. I'm gonna rage about everyone now. Better than Toy Story 5, non-ironically. Okay, I think that's, yeah, a low 3 stars where we're at. Man, they're making real films nowadays. So let me know about what you thought on Minions and Monsters. Am I being too kind to a Minions movie? Have I lost my edge? Let me know in the comments, and see you soon or something. Bye.